Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Stacey and I'm a certified life coach who specializes in infidelity recovery. I help the unfaithful get over their affair, in their affair, prevent relapse, and just help you learn why you had an affair so we can prevent future affairs. I know how hard it is to struggle with feeling like you can't let go because I've been there myself personally. And I know what it feels like to be in that place where your emotions are all over the place. I've been there too. And I'm here to help you. You don't have to go through this alone. I work one-on-one with individuals who are ready to get their life back and to stop hurting. Oh my gosh, the pain is horrendous for when you end an affair, or even when you get to the end of it, it gets really bad. So anyways, I'll leave all of that information on how you can work with me and some free resources down at the bottom. I'm so excited. Okay, so before we get into today's video, I wanted to share an announcement with you guys. I'm like so excited about this. Okay, I am starting a podcast and it will launch November the 15th on all platforms. Yes, I'm just really excited because it's going to be about infidelity, of course. But it'll be about marriage. And yes, my husband is going to be joining me on some occasions to share his side and how he healed from infidelity and what he did to help our marriage get back on track, and how he forgave and just things like that. I tried to get him to come on YouTube and he would. But I know that he's really uncomfortable being on video. But that's not to say he won't ever make an appearance here again, because I believe he will. But he feels more comfortable, and his personality is so wonderful. He's a comedian at heart, so he makes jokes and stuff. And I know he'll feel more comfortable on, just like on the microphone where he's not on video. But anyways, okay, so I wanted to make that announcement to you guys. Please stay tuned for that. You can follow me on Instagram, where I will be announcing up until the time it's time to launch. But like I was saying, I think I went off on a tangent. Okay, so like I was saying, my podcast, I'm excited about it because it's going to be a little bit different structure and format than I do here. Here I do a lot of teaching about certain things, which I will do that there as well. But I want it to be more of a conversation, more of a real conversation where we talk about some of those hard topics, like sex and comparison and sex after infidelity. Our affair partner, why we pick him, why we start, just go a little bit deeper than I do here on YouTube and actually have like a conversation. So I'm super excited about it. Stay tuned for more information on that to come. And like I said, yes, you can follow me on Instagram to get updates about the podcast, and you can also sign up on my website, and because I'll be sending out an email about my podcast and all of that good stuff. So yes, let's get into this video. Okay, the do's and don'ts after you have an affair. So the do's and don'ts of affair recovery. That's what the video is about. So my recovery, I didn't really have help. As many of you know, if you're an unfaithful, there's not a lot of help for us out there. So I really just kind of had to learn as I went, and I messed up and I did a whole bunch of things I shouldn't have done. Then then there was times where I didn't know exactly what to do to make things better. So I want to get into a list. I have about 5 or 6 things for the do's and the don'ts of just some things I want to share with you, that some tips that'll kind of help you navigate your way through recovery. So this is after the affair ends, for you, for your healing. And, also if you're trying to reconcile with your spouse, I have, a couple of tips in here for that as well. So let's get into it. Let's start with the do's, the don'ts. Okay. The don'ts. All right. Number one, this one is really important. Please keep this one in mind, guys. Don't take trips down memory lane. Don't fantasize. Don't go into what ifs. It is really important after recovery that you pay attention to your thoughts. Your thoughts will take you down memory lane, and before you know it, you will be on the phone with this person, texting this person. So let me tell you how I see this happening. So we will have a trigger. So we'll hear a song, or we'll pass in front of a location or something like that. We might even hear that person's name. Excuse me. I live by cane fields, and I'm literally living in a fire pit because they're burning stuff all around me. So excuse my little cough. But we will get triggered, and when we're triggered, that memory comes back up, and that memory contains emotion. So we automatically will be, struck with an emotion. Well, we have at that moment to decide what we're going to do with that trigger. Well, a lot of times for me, what I did was I would pass in front of like the hotel we stayed at, and then I would remember, I would play the whole thing in my head, like from when we got there, what we said. Now, of course, I couldn't remember everything, but I have a really good memory, so I remembered lots of things. So even details. So I would play this in my head, and then, it was like a story that was unfolding. And by the end of this, maybe a couple of minute trip down memory lane, my emotions, I was crying. The urge to text him was so strong. I just knew, like, I just had to text him. So, but I wouldn't. I really only messed up one time and called him about 6 weeks after. So, I managed to contain myself. But now I tell my clients, please don't go down there. Please take control of your thoughts. And there's a way that you can deal with triggers, manage your thoughts, and get your emotions under control, because ultimately we want to get our emotions under control. Oh, that was my earring. Oh my gosh. Sorry guys, this video is like crazy today. Okay, so that's what happens to us. So let me just give you a brief thing. We have a thought about a situation. It creates an emotion, and that emotion usually creates an action, so we respond. We live off of emotions a lot of time. We make decisions off of emotions. So what we want to do is we really want to learn how to get those emotions under control, because we don't want to text him. Like when we're in, relapse, or not, when we're trying to prevent relapse, we don't want to text him. So we have to get our emotions under control. And the way to do that is by our thoughts. So we don't want to feed our hearts any more love or fantasies or anything like that. So it's important, don't go down memory lane. And I teach all of this in my sessions with my clients of how to control your thoughts and get your emotions under control. Okay, number 2, don't drink. You're free to drink if you want. There's no judgment there. When I say don't drink, I really mean don't drink during the recovery phase of like where withdrawal is. So I don't recommend alcohol intake from the first day you end your affair to 6 months. But if it's impossible for you, definitely the first 3 months, don't drink alcohol, because alcohol is really what weakens our defenses, really stirs up our emotions. It stirs up anxiety. And this is why I had my relapse around 6 or 8 weeks, where I actually called him. Like I didn't call him from my number. I was at my mom's, and I was drinking some wine with her, and I picked up her phone when she went in the other room, and I went outside and I called him, and we had about a 10-minute conversation. Now the affair didn't start back up or anything after that, but we did have that conversation. So a lot of my clients will tell me, when I'm walking through them with withdrawal, they'll say, Stacey, I had some wine, and I got on Facebook, and then I saw he had another woman, or I saw she had another guy, and I had to text them, or I called them, or something like that. A lot of us struggle with this where wine is concerned, or alcohol of any type. So if you can manage to abstain from alcohol for 3 months, then you're doing yourself and your recovery a great favor, because alcohol will definitely or it can definitely mess you up. Okay, so number 3, don't stalk their social media. I know this is easier said than done, especially for me. I'm the queen of, okay, block their social media, block their number, and then I would go unblock them. So I can tell you to block them, but you're gonna go unblock them if you want. The reason you don't want to do this is because you're still wanting to give your body chemicals, your dopamine, you want all of that to come down. You don't want dopamine to associate your affair partner with as a reward anymore. So we're trying to disassociate that. And when you're trying to do that, then you don't want to see them. You don't want to see pictures of them, because you don't have to see them in person to get that rush of excitement or that rush of reward that dopamine gives us. So that's why it's important not to see them, not to see their pictures or stare at their pictures or anything. And then usually there's a game going on between the two of you. He might post a picture of himself with his wife to make you jealous, or he might post a picture of himself with a shirt you gave him, and then you go and you look at it, and then your emotions are all stirred up, and you end up texting them, you end up struggling, you end up, crying or in pain or that type of thing. And if you notice, your emotions have a lot to do with your behavior, because the last 3 things I've told you not to do or suggested not to do, your emotions ultimately led you to break no contact. Okay, number 4, don't look for closure. Okay, I looked for closure forever. I'm like, if I could just have that last conversation, if we could just talk, and if I could just ask him questions and get all of this done, then that would be great. Then I would have my closure. Then I would feel better. What we have to learn about closure is closure comes from within us. Closure does not come from them. Closure comes when we say, okay, I have made the decision to close the door. I have made the decision that no matter how you love me, like your way of loving people is not what I need. I made a decision, to say, hey, I want a relationship that's real. Not that the relationship isn't real, but I want a relationship, let me say it this way, that's built on trust and not deception. That's, that 2 people are healthy emotionally in it. So I just want something different. And that's where closure comes from. When you change your perspective of how you see the affair ending, then you can really get that closure, because you have to ask yourself, that last conversation, is it really going to bring me that much peace? Can I really have that good of a breakup where we, say I love you and not end up in bed together? Or can we have a breakup where somebody's not crying, or the affair doesn't start again? Is that really possible? And it could be, but when you're talking about infidelity and you're talking about breaking the cycle, which is so hard to get out of, then you don't want to take that chance. You really want to close the door on that. And you also have to be aware of, let me just say this one more thing, because it's important. You also want to be aware of the tricks that your mind will play on you to get you to motivate them. And I think closure is one of those tricks, or it's one of those things we go through when we're going through grief, that our body tries to motivate us to contact them. Okay, number 6. This video is getting long, so I think I'm going to have to split it up into 2. So this is going to be the do's, and next week will be the don't. This is the don'ts, and next week will be the do's. Gosh, it's not Monday, but I'm acting like it's Monday. Okay, don't keep mementos. So actually this is going to be 2 parts, so probably like 6 and 7. Don't keep mementos. Mementos have a way of keeping you attached. I had a necklace. One of my clients told me she had a necklace that, he gave her, she wore it, and every time she would look at it, she would think of him, and then it would cause pain. So here we have that thought emotion cycle going on again, especially with a memento. You see it, you think of them, and then it brings pain. So that's something that we don't want. Now, I suggest you get rid of things as you are able to handle getting rid of things, so the first step would be, please get rid of emails and things that you can go back and read and kind of stir up that pain, because The whole goal of this don't is to keep your pain down and to keep your emotions as calm as possible and to help you heal, because we're putting a band-aid on this right now, because it's a wound. It needs to heal, it needs time to heal, but we don't want to keep ripping the band-aid off and messing with it, and sometimes going look at stuff just hurts us all over again, or hanging on to that blanket or a hat or whatever it might be just keeps us right there in that moment that we're no longer in. It keeps our emotions tied to that stuff, tied to the past, because once the affair ends, it's the past. Even yesterday's the past. 13 minutes ago was the past. So, that's what I'm saying. We don't want to live in the past. We have to keep moving, and the way to keep our hearts healed is to keep moving. Okay, the last thing with the don'ts. Don't think one day you will get together or you're being kept apart and you have this Romeo and Juliet idea, which is something we will talk about in the podcast, is Romeo and Juliet syndrome when it comes to infidelity. But don't hang on to thoughts that one day I will see you in the future and we will reconnect, or our spouses are keeping us apart, or if we would have met at a different time, then that would have been that. We met at a different time and we could have got together. You don't want to think those things, because that's going to keep you, like I said, it's going to keep you in that place of hanging on. And the goal is to let go. The goal is to move forward and get out of this place. Get out of this place of pain. Get some excitement for our future again. Learn how to live. Learn why we did this. Learn, self-discovery. Better ourselves. Learn who God created us to be. Let that person come through. That's the goal. But if we hang on to the hope that we'll get back into this relationship one day, then that's going to slow our recovery down, and it will prevent us from moving on with our spouse. Now, I think I skipped one. I did skip one. Now that I say that about your spouse, gosh, this video is getting long. Okay, don't make any hasty decisions about your marriage, because your mind is clouded right now. You literally are not thinking logically. Your brain has been hijacked into your emotional realm, and that's what you're thinking on. That's what you're basing everything on. Your affair partner is still, on this pedestal, and your husband is still like down in the gutter maybe. So don't make any hasty decisions just yet. Give yourself time, give your body chemicals time to come back to normal, and yourself to be able to start thinking clearly and seeing things clearly before you decide if you want to stay in your marriage or not. Okay, so that is it for today. Today we have the don'ts. Next week we'll have the do's. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Feel free to email me. If you would like help with learning how to manage your thoughts so we can stabilize your emotions during this time, set up a free chat. I offer a free 30-minute chat so we can get to know each other and see if we're a good fit for coaching one-on-one. Okay, so thank you for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. I hope this video blessed you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.